How about that? Hopefully that's better. Anyway, shit. Sorry, guys. Trying to have freaking problems, apparently. Anyway, thanks for being here, everybody. Whoever's here. Shouting out into the void of the interweb. Of the internet. Oh, I'm off my game today. Long work day today, just letting you know. But I didn't really have time to make a video, so I'm like, yeah, go live. So we're going to do it live. So I've been looking up at the upcoming stuff with Marvel. All right. Almighty Finn, thank you for being here, sir. But anyway, I've been looking up what's well, I can't hear you. Hopefully you can hear me. Anyway. Thank you, Foodie Memphis. Thank you for being here. As I was saying, I've been a big Marvel fan, most of my life, whether it's the old X-Men cartoon in the 90s or the Spider-Man movies that came out with Tobey Maguire. Couldn't really get into the other guy. I can't remember his name. The first, the new Spider-Man stuff, not the MCU stuff, the stuff in between. Andrew Garfield, that guy. He just looked like he was like 30. It was too much. You're just too old. You're just too old to pull this off properly. Yeah, this is what it looked like to me anyway. But of course, phase 1, 2, 3 of the MCU, fantastic. Some of the best cinema you'll ever see. But since then, since 2019, since was it Infinity War, Endgame, it's been a lot of meh. It's been a lot of meh. I'm kind of over the whole multiverse shit. So we gotta have the multiverse in every freaking movie. Can't we just have a movie? Can't it just be normal? Can't we just have a good guy, bad guy? Can't we just get some of that? Now, they're finally putting in the Fantastic Four coming out. Looking forward to that, hopefully. But it's in the 60s, and there's going to be some multiverse of shit going on, which I'm done with. And then the X-Men. The X-Men is getting pushed up, finally. Give me some X-Men. So it's only the best property you got. No one cared about the Marvels or any of this other crap. Give me the good stuff. Give me the vein. Almighty Finn, Feinbaum, or Golem, as I like to call him. FSU is not worthy of the SEC. Yeah, heard that. Doesn't surprise me from that big pecker. I'm kind of over Mr. Feinbaum. How should I say it? Well, there's no good way to say it. Old Golem, for a guy that's supposed to be like some SEC. I mean, what? He's just a talking head. Can we call him an expert at this point? I don't know. I don't think so. He's just out there talking shit. Now, he may just be deflecting. And if it's truly just his opinion, maybe he needs to shut his ass. Maybe you should clear your opinion with ESPN. The one who pays you, dumbass. Just saying, maybe you should think about it. I have a feeling ESPN has a different opinion of Florida State than Mr. Feinbaum does. Dumb. see, talk of the town is North Carolina is the SEC's #1 priority. Yeah, that'll be the talk of the town until they start seeing all these other teams go to different places, and they're like still waiting for a phone call. They're still waiting for a text or an email. I'm sure that some dumbass boosters, maybe even some school presidents, have talked to UNC and said, hey, we want you. We're talking amongst yourselves. You got yourself a landing spot, kid. Yeah. I tell you what, when ESPN is willing to pay them $100 million plus a year for horseshit football ratings, then I'll believe it. Look, it's not like they're not complete dog shit ratings. They'll be better with Belichick for a couple of years, and then he'll either retire or die. He's to that age. Either can happen. And then once that happens, it's kind of back to square one, isn't it? Remember, there's a lot of excitement when Mac Brown came back, right? Because Mac Brown had all the success with Texas, and until he didn't. And, they did pretty well under Mac Brown. Didn't they get to an ACC championship game? Did they not get to an ACC championship game with Mac Brown? I think they did. And there was 1 or 2 years they were right there around 1 million viewers a week. There was some excitement around there for the football, and then right back into the shitter. But their ratings don't just plain suck. They just don't. They don't. They're just not at that level. But, people can talk, and I'll keep talking. Every once in a while, I'll shit out another video about how that's not going to happen, and y'all get ready for it. Buckle up. Buckle up for the big nothing that's going to be coming their way. Their best future's in the Big 12. Sorry. Just is. Almighty Finn. It's crazy how football was college football reasoning for realignment. Then FSU gets free, and now it's everybody else the reason for realignment, or everything else the reason. Yeah. I kind of agree with you there. As much as I stumbled upon your comment, it's yeah. I wouldn't say they're free just yet, but yeah, we all know the dates and all that. Just hold on to your hat. I think in a couple of years they'll be out. It ain't going to take. I don't think it'll take till 2030. I think ESPN is going to work with FSU and Clemson to get them to the SEC, and they'll probably help pay that exit fee and get them out. Remember, they gave Colorado a nice fat bonus to come into the Big 12. This worthless horse shit of a conference here. They did. ESPN did that. They did that to help make that happen, because they knew once that happened, because everyone thought Oregon and Washington were the linchpins there. They weren't. It was Colorado. But once that happened, there goes Oregon, there goes Washington, and then there goes the Four Corners, and then there goes Stanford, and there goes Cal, and holy shit, there's only 2 teams in the pack. Yeah. Yeah. All right, I got some things I want to talk about, but let me finish up. Let me get caught up on these. Trashing old Paul. Gordon. The Monty Show. I love this guy. Feinbaum sources are beyond reproach, according to my sources. Yeah. Everyone knows Monty's got the best sources. They're everywhere. All right. You want to know what TV's thinking? He's got sources in TV. Whatever that means. Almighty Finn. Are you really Monty? Of course. Didn't you see the picture? Didn't you see the picture? That's Monty. Longtime fan of Numbskull News. According to my sources, yes, I am. Of course. You need to stop your hate for FSU and your co-host just repeat everything you say. That's the secret sauce. That's how you get to 135,000 plus subscribers right there. You say something, then you have someone that's a little more boring, and the camera shifts to them, and they say the same thing. And yeah, of course, and that's like this, like a this, and this, like that, and then big boy gets back on there, and my sources. It's just gonna happen. It's just gonna happen because my sources, all my sources. I got sources coming out of my ass. Sources. My source is a BMD at an SEC school, and he tells me it'll actually be North Carolina plus Duke to the league because Sankey wants to build up basketball. Damn it. The last video I did, I was trying to be concise, and I forgot to put in one of the, as far as the reasonings for this to happen, because I can pretty much go through and tear every reason a new asshole as far as why UNC is going to go to one of the Big Two conferences. I forgot to put in because the SEC wants to build up basketball. I got no problem with your source as a BMD, big mother donor. I got no problem with that. As far as them building up basketball, no. Those media partners aren't going to pay that money for Duke. Because SEC is not paying themselves. They're getting paid. ESPN pays the bills. And if they don't want North Carolina, they don't want Duke, regardless of... I'm sure there are people in the SEC that want to expand with basketball, with academics, with everything that doesn't make the football dollar. The football dollar, the sport of football, this is why the SEC is making what they're making. It's because of the fantastic, insanely great brands that the SEC does have and all the winning they do. This is not a basketball conference. Now, they've been kicking ass in basketball the last couple of years. So if they want to grow their basketball, they're going to have to grow with what they have. All right. Florida State doesn't have a bad basketball program. But the thing is, they offer what makes you the most money. UNC offers what makes you about 20% of the money, which is basketball. So what are we trying to do? So we're going to pay all this money that we pay because of football, but we're going to pay now because of basketball? That's 20% of the revenue? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense, Bagman. Bobby Hansen. I've been curious where Duke will end up. Big 12. Look, Brett Yormark truly wants basketball. He's been pushing for UConn. You don't think he'll push for Duke? Duke? Of course he will. You don't think he'll do everything he can to grease the skids for UNC and NC State to come into the Big 12? Of course he's going to do that. Of course. I mean, has he talked to Florida State and Clemson? Of course you do your due diligence, but that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It shocks me that everyone really believes that Big Ten have no interest. Well, they're not AAU. Well, they're about like 2 inches from AAU. But 2 inches. The SEC, they're already in Florida. They're already in Florida. What does ESPN want? They want viewerships for the next iteration of ESPN, which will be a streamer, which how do they make their money? The biggest way they make their money is subscribers. After that, it'll be advertisers. But it won't be because of carriage fees and all this kind of shit. All right. It's going to be subscriber based. So what do they need? They need teams with the most eyeballs, willing to pay the freight to have the future ESPN streamer. UNC will bring in people? Of course it would. Florida State, it'll bring in a lot more. And not just, it's the viewer that you want. You want the football viewer. That sicko out there that just has to watch until his eyeballs are bleeding every weekend during the football season. And the wife's over there wondering when she's going to get laid because this dude won't get out of the TV watching football. That's the guy, that's the gal, but very few gals that actually watch football. But those are the people that ESPN wants and desires. And there's a lot more of them with Florida State, with Clemson. That co-host is my son, the Almighty, according to my sources. Gotta love the Monty Show. Gotta love them. You bash Florida State, but Notre Dame is the most arrogant in the country. And take this, FSU has won 3 natties since Notre Dame won their last, which I was in 7th grade when they won. Well, speaking of Monty, let's talk about Monty's favorite topic. Let's talk about Super League. Super League. Look out. It's faster than a speeding locomotive. Jump over a building with just one pelvic thrust. It's Super League. All of these national writers, people with sources, they're all saying, oh, this is going to be a super. They're going to get out of the NCAA, the biggest brands. And they all have different things, right? Some of them say 70 teams. Some of them say 60 teams. Some of them say 50 or less, 40, 30. Do you see anybody? You see Alabama leaving the SEC? You see Ohio State leaving the Big Ten? Now, like I said, academics isn't about, realignment isn't about academics. But the Big Ten academics are kind of important. They do a lot of research together. They like to have the band together. I don't see them blowing up the band for some football money. So if there is a future Super League, it's going to have to involve like the fully intact Big Ten, the fully intact SEC. This is why I thought Project Rudy had some legs. And to an extent, there could still be some legs there eventually. But does that mean all of these conferences dissolve? No. And the thing is, I think before that happens, because I do think a Project Rudy, that's about the only way you save the ACC. Because at that point, why leave? Why leave? But how feasible is it with the Project Rudy situation? Because you got to understand, if you have a Project Rudy situation, the conference commissioners, how much are they in charge of that? I mean, for real, in charge of it. Because that would be completely pro style, pro league, with all of these different. I guess it would be essentially what the Power Four is, right? So will these commissioners control that thing? They would have a say. But your private equity partners that are making it happen and your media partners, they're going to have a gigantic freaking way more say than they have right now. Now, There are no private equity, private capital partners yet. Yet. Big Ten's looking into it. Big 12 is balls deep in it right now. But it's weird for me, this coming back to the national media. Here's the thing: people like Monty and all that. They have this certain disdain for people like me who come out here, speculate on things. Now, I just don't come out here and just talk out of my ass. I mean, I've actually researched a lot of stuff from a lot of different angles. Does it make me an expert? Does it mean I know everything? But I've gotten a few things right. I've gotten a few things. I've gotten something very wrong. I did not think ESPN was going to pick up that ACC deal February 1st. I didn't think that was happening. It happened. So one more time, I'll come out here and say, well, I was wrong. There's an old boy that comes into my comments once in a while, a real prick by the name of Grayson Ganoush. And of course, he wants to keep reminding me of that. And I'm like, dude, I made a video about how wrong I was. I mean, what more? You want me to come to your house and dance a jig and shit on your lawn? You want me to jump up and shit my pants? What do you want me to do? All I can do is say, yeah, I had that wrong. Okay. Now I'm moving on. That wasn't like the basis of my channel or anything. Now, if I'm wrong on UNC, everybody's welcome to kick me in the nuts as hard as you want, virtually. But yeah, because I've really doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down on that one. But I have gotten things right. One of my very first realignment video. This is back when I had like 20 subscribers, and I was just making videos about everything: movies, books, music, sports. I was just all over the place. All right. But when Texas and OU announced they were leaving, I was like, whoa, that changes. Then I really started paying. I zeroed in on that. It just piqued my interest like a son of a bitch, and has just continually fed my interest since. I finally made a video on it. Really, no research, no nothing. Come up with some cockamamie horse shit on this video. Not a good video at all. But towards the end of that video, I said, look, there's people from these other leagues, and I just scanned some of the facts. I knew the Pac-12 media deal was coming up. I'm like, look, Pac-12, because y'all turned down all 8 of these schools as that time, or the original 8, making their phone calls. I'm like, whoa, the Pac-12 is turning down Tech or Oklahoma State or TCU? I'm like, y'all realize if I'm USC, I'm calling the Big Ten. I just saw what Texas and OU did. Why the hell would I not? It was already announced, not announced at that time, but it was basically everyone had this opinion of what the Big Ten was going to make, and it was going to be some gigantic freaking money. If I'm USC, my ass is going that way, just like Texas and OU did. And I said that in the video. I'll be damned, a year later, I was right. Maybe not a full year, 8 months, whatever. Wasn't reporting. It was just me speculating because that made sense. I was like, okay, who's the biggest brand in the pack? Oh, that was USC. Well, they wouldn't go to the SEC because the SEC ain't trying to do all that. Big Ten just made sense. Got that right. What else did I get right? Yeah. The 4 corners were going to go to the Big 12. Over and over again. Oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Happen. Another thing, and you can go back. Ooh. Was that a year and a half now? Good Lord. But about a year and a half ago, This is when the Big 12 was, oh, sorry, the Pac 12, before it busted up, 6, 7 months before. I kept hearing these people, these national media people, oh, the Pac 12 they'll get a deal, it'll be just good enough, and then they'll kick the can down the road for their 4 or 5 years or whatever. I was like, I made a video. I'm like, what if there is no deal? And I laid it out. And at the time, the only thing that we knew, the only serious talks at the time was with Apple. That's it. There wasn't nothing offered yet. There wasn't a framework, but they were kind of working. That was a serious thing. Then you would hear, oh, CBS is interested. Never mind. ESPN might come back with another offer. Fox is going to. Oh, look out, NBC. Warner Brothers Discovery. Over and over again. I just finally said, look, maybe there's not a deal. Maybe there's no deal that'll save this thing. I'll be damned, I was right on that too. And I was going against everybody in the national. Everyone just assumed. Everyone's sources just assumed they would get a deal that would be good enough, be close enough to the Big 12 deal to stay together. And holy shit, it's never going to happen. Why did I say that? Because Oregon and Washington weren't going to do anything long term. They weren't going to sign their names to anything that they couldn't get out of immediately with no exit fee, because they wanted to go to the Big Ten. They didn't want to be in this bitch without USC or UCLA. It wasn't happening for them. They knew they were big enough brands, big enough markets, all of that to get the hell out. So they weren't going to do anything to help the rest of the schools, the rest of the conference. Hell no, they weren't doing that. They were going to do what's best for them. So easy to see for me. No sources, no nothing. Just reading the tea leaves. Oh, but they'll get a deal. They'll get a deal. They didn't get a deal. So am I completely talking out of my ass over here? I'm not. I just, if I want to know something about private equity, private capital, how does it work? I start reading how it works. What do they do? How do they get a return on investment? People are just out here talking out of their ass on these things and they don't know. I'm talking national media people who don't know shit about how these companies work or why they work, and all kinds of different places in the economy that they work. Because you can't just say, well, how is it going to work in the NFL? Because that's a very different model. You can't look at the NBA because that's very different. They work differently depending on what they're doing and depending on the industry they're getting involved in. So I looked this shit up. People tell me about carriage fees. Oh, carriage fees. Well, this is my phone. I got all the information in the world on this thing, as do you. Ask these national reporters. Google something besides yourself. I don't know. There's a lot of sites out there that have a lot of information. Then once I compile the information, okay, what is this telling me? And I'm not saying these national media, a lot of them are really good, and they have a lot of great sources, but sources on a story like 5 years from now, UNC going to the SEC, going to the Big Ten, you got to come with some information. You can't just say, well, sources say. Well, that doesn't mean gobbledygook of shit at this point. It doesn't matter if a source tells you, oh, Super League series is going to happen. Who's saying that? If your source is Greg Sankey, then I'll be like, oh shit. If your source is Tony Petiti, I'm like, holy shit. But if it's some jagoff all right, who's a booster for Georgia Tech or Mississippi State or Mizzou, like I care. I don't. All right. If it's a chancellor from Vanderbilt, I don't care. Because is that chancellor from Vanderbilt? Is that your source telling you that they really want UNC? They really want Virginia? I mean, that's getting serious. It's getting serious conversation. Virginia. I could be wrong about Virginia. I mean, I could be wrong about UNC, but Virginia? Dude, Congress has a higher approval rating than Virginia has viewership. Nobody watches that shit. It's a ghost town in Virginia. Oh, I'm supposed to be impressed as the 12th or 13th most populated state? And the only time they don't really lose population is when less people die. That's a thing. I'm living in like some kind of freaking fantasy world over here. There's some weird multiverse, apparently, or Virginia, where nobody watches the fucking games, is so much more wanted than Florida State. It makes no sense. There's no logic. There's no logic. All right. Let me get on here with some of you. Get on with some of these all these comments. There we go. The alternative hypothesis. That's one hell of a name. Appreciate you, sir. People poo on revenue sharing, but revenue sharing is a way to preserve or even go back to more regional conferences. Okay, Mr. Hypothesis. You're a smart man. You're a smart guy. No one names their channel that without being, having some intellect in there. Here's my thing about revenue sharing, as far as like player revenue sharing. I don't know how that helps regional conferences, but I like revenue share. I like the idea of kids getting paid. The Monty Show. Industry sources have told me Purdue and Northwestern are likely to be cut out of the Big Ten sometime in the next 30 years, sources have said. Yeah, that's another bunch of horse shit. Do you know how much? I wonder how much of research dollars Purdue and Northwestern are kind of like responsible for. Probably a lot. I mean, those are huge names, dude. Huge, the freaking names. Purdue and Northwestern aren't getting kicked out of the Big Ten. People have lost their shit. The SEC isn't going to kick out Mississippi State. They're not kicking out Arkansas. They're not kicking out anybody. Nobody. People, you need to understand. You're not getting enough money off of that when you spread it through the rest of the teams. You're not getting enough money to justify jack shit. Plus, the SEC is getting paid for 16 teams. Oh, we'll kick out Mississippi State. We'll add someone else. It's not like that share is just going to get divvied up between the other 15 members if they kick out Mississippi State. It's not how it works. You lose the share. Well, just put in someone. Who are you going to put in? You're telling me no one wants Florida State. SEC, we don't want Florida State. We'd rather have Mississippi State. People act like this money stays the same when they kick out teams. It's not going to, because it's also content. Mississippi State provides content for ESPN. Believe it or not, you won't see them a whole lot on big ESPN. You won't see them a whole lot, if at all, on ABC, but they do need to put something on ESPN Plus. They got to put something on ESPN2. They got to put something on ESPNU or the Ocho. Grayson Ganous is one of my sources. Of course he is, Monty. Why would he not? Outlaw. Why is there a fake Monty stalker up in here? Hey. Would you go and talk to your favorite pro wrestler and call them fake? You probably get slapped in the mouth just like John Stossel did back in the day. You don't do that, Outlaw. Monty's welcome here, even though none of us are welcome on Monty's show. He's welcome on my show, sir. And I'm not going to stand for calling him fake, but he does have a good sense of humor about it. Maybe he's heard of the outlaw of college football. He ought to. That's the real Monty. The one with a bunch of subscribers is the fake. It's all deep fake videos, sad situation. It is. Some 2-ton Tessie sitting there in Utah pretending to be Monty. Google pictures of this guy golfing. It's like Snuffleupagus in a golf shirt. He's always talking about, oh, drink this, it gives me all this energy. Well, diabetes. This one is fake too. Hey, okay, Outlaw. We need to have a little kayfabe here. Kayfabe, Outlaw. I can report, Outlaw, that industry sources say I'm very real and spectacular. Of course. Kayfabe is dead, Alti. Didn't Triple H, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and X-Pac tell you? Well, it may be fake over there. Kayfabe may be dead over there. But here on Numbskull News, kayfabe is very alive. Sources say I am the best at the following, but not limited to drawing, coloring, bike riding, and somersaults. Industry insiders confirm. You got to have industry insiders. If you don't, then what are you doing here? You're an abortion to humanity if you don't. Kevin Hampton. Funny how the Pac-12 got great football TV numbers in the final fall. The destruction was both self-inflicted and engineered. It was. They had one hell of a last season. Better ratings in the Big 12, better ratings in the ACC. They were right up there. I can't say they're up there with the SEC, but, closer. It was ironic, though. All of a sudden, leaving. All these dumbasses started watching. Coos' Corner. Oh, Outlaw. You didn't know? Your ass better call somebody. Yeah, I can confirm the Pac-12 is likely to lose relevance sometime in the next or last year, sources say. Yeah, one of my favorites was, ain't none of these teams leaving. Oregon, Washington, are you still here? I ain't got anywhere yet. This was like March. This was just a few months away. I don't know what your problem is. I don't know what the Big 12 problem is. I don't know what you're doing. You're like anyone's going. Utah guy done told you. Utah AD done said it ain't happening. This ain't happening. Outlaw. Once USC left, it was a matter of time, and Oregon was leaving. The Big Ten just wanted the Big 12 to take their 4 so they could say they didn't kill the pack. But the Big Ten absolutely killed them. Yeah, absolutely. And they didn't want them to take the whole 4. They just needed one team. That team was Colorado. Once Colorado left, the whole thing was shot to shit. Everything was. Well, damn, Koozie boy makes the numbsy stream, but not mine. We do what we can, Outlaw. Bagman, my source shines Greg Sankey's shoes. The UNC smoke is real. All right. I think that's great. You got a source there, Bagman. I do not. But so I'm going to go against your source like I go against Paul Feinbaum's sources and Greg Flugar's sources and pretty much everybody's sources that have been talking about this shit. I just don't believe it. Dude, believe it. Kevin Hampton. It was all still doomed due to the disparity between brands, USC, Oregon. FSU claims it. First week, Boston raising all overall numbers doesn't change the internal. Okay. I wasn't aware you had one. Had one twice this past week. You knew Justina Walker. All right. Look, Coos, I love you, Coos. When you end a sentence with the word bet, you're breaking kayfabe, sir. That's what's going on. You're breaking kayfabe. That's wrong. Can't do it. I just hop on YT. Whenever I have free time, I don't schedule it. What does my name say about my intelligence? Well, Mr. Monkey says, I'm guessing. What does it say about your intelligence? It probably says that you grew up watching Phil Nye, the Science Guy. That's what I'm thinking. All right. Still ripping on Coos' corner. We're going to have a fall brawl in the spring. I was referring to paying bigger brands more within a conference. I used the wrong word. I get you. Yeah, that's what the ACC is going to do, which is going to be my next video, it's a death nail. It's not a good idea. The thought that, the SEC is going to do that. No, they're not. I guarantee you they would see that as embarrassing. The Big Ten probably see it as embarrassing as well. They're not going to do anything to kick their own cohorts in the nuts. They're not going to do that. Kevin Hampton, the alternative Oregon State, was a consistently winning program for most of the past 25 years. Gary Anderson dropped OSU for 6 years. OSU was winning the final 3 years in Pac. They were good. However, they weren't good enough. When was the last time they won the Pac? Kind of didn't. You got to understand, they were making the same money as everybody else was for a long time. I understand the recruiting can be tough. But if Texas Tech and Lubbock, Texas, can out-recruit you for a long time. They've been out-recruiting Oregon State for a long time. And as my mom used to say about Lubbock, the birds fly upside down. in Lubbock because there ain't nothing worth shitting on out there. Blame my mother. But Oregon and Washington State, man. I mean, I just don't feel as bad, I guess, as everyone else does for them because I'm like, look, if you haven't picked it up by now, you're kind of screwed. And here's the thing: they've been trying, but try it and get it done. As my man Yoda once said, you don't try not. You do or do not. They didn't do it. You got to do it. Bagman, Outlaw, they need to pay bills too, and putting OU or Texas somewhere in the video's title is the best way to do it. LOL, I'll get more views than any other team currently in that conference. Yeah, that does help to put OU or Texas in there. I don't do that a lot. I don't mind some clickbait. I try to keep it to what I'm talking about, though. Are we live? Yes, we're live, Mr. Big Lubbock. And nothing against Lubbock. According to sources close to Numbskull's thinking, yes, the Big Lubbock. Yes, we are. Monty says we're live. We're live. That's just how it goes. If he wants me to go live, we're going live. All right. This is Monty's universe. We're all just living in it. Don't cook lasagna around the guy. Might just be hungry for the night. Have we talked Texas Tech beating Bama in the CFP about Texas Tech's journey to winning the Natty? Well, Bama's got to get to the CFP first. Texas Tech, Big Lubbock. I saw that same scenario through a crystal ball, except it'll be versus Texas. Now that would be sexy. Come on. Texas Tech versus the Longhorns in the national title game. Come on. I would love to see it. As a TCU fan, I would love to see it. That'd be great. Mr. Monkey says, can I nudge you in the direction of a rant? It's kind of like the Hulk, Like, hey, how do you just Hulk out all the time? Can you just Hulk out when I'm always angry. Everything's a rant, sir. Everything's a rant. Big Lubbock, who wants to bet that Texas Tech will make the CFP before Texas A&M does? Ooh. Oh, you know what? I like those odds. I like the odds of Texas Tech making the CFP before A&M. I do like those odds. I thought A&M was supposed to be the shit last year. We're going to be the shit. They couldn't beat shit last year. That's the problem. What 8-4? Right there with Baylor. Right there with TCU. A&M? Aggie? Shit. Oregon State won the Pac-12 in 2001. Well, holy shit. Only 24 years ago, Kevin Hampton. 24 years. It sounds like I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. Hey, man. We were in the Super Bowl in 95. What do you want? Just a mere 30 years ago. Come on, bro. You can't do that. Went 11-1 and finished number 4 nationally. Now, that's great. And they followed up with a whole lot of that's the problem. Look, say the same thing about T. Look, they went and played for a national title. All right. Played for a national title a couple of years ago. They're still living on that. But it only lasts for so long. If TCU can't get back into the college football playoff for the next couple of years, 2-3 years, you think anyone's going to give a flaming shit that they got drilled by Georgia in the national title? No. You got to be able to build on it. We're 2 years away already. You know, they went what, 5-7 the year after, didn't even make a damn bowl game. Next year, a little better, 8-4. But they got to step it up. You can't live on that shit forever. I'm not saying Oregon State is elite or anything, just that it's ridiculous that it's in the current situation. Hey, they're Oregon State, Washington State, those aren't going to be the last two schools. Wake Forest, Boston College. I don't know. Is it going to be Syracuse? Is it going to be Pitt? I have a feeling Georgia Tech will get left behind, but I don't know how many outside of a merger. Look, this is one of the reasons I've been pulling for merger. I don't want to see that shit happen to all these schools again. You know, I think it kind of sucks that Oregon State and Washington State had to do that. But the Pac they weren't going to sully themselves to merge with the Big 12. So screw you. And look, I know Oregon State and Washington State, they would have loved to have been in the Big 12. Would have given anything. But now they got control of their own thing. They're running their own show there in the Pac. They're the big dogs of the Pac now. Such as it is. One day, Boston College, Wake Forest, and one or two others, Pitt, Syracuse. Oh, they're going to get to call the shots in the ACC. It's just, not going to be on the same level. The Big Lubbock. I have to admit, I can't complain about not getting shit. The TCU is proud of getting shit on. That is on them. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Big Lubbock. And I've been saying this for a while about Texas Tech. It's time. I mean, TCU, we did the thing. Undefeated in the Big 12. Lost the conference title game to freaking Kansas State, but made the playoffs. Beat Michigan. It's time for Texas Tech to step up. Get to a conference title game. Kick some ass. Get into the playoffs. Kick some ass. It's time. Because this year we're going to find out about Mr. McGuire. Is he all talk? All right. What is it? Is all hat, no cattle? What is it over there with Mr. McGuire? Because you got the best recruiting classes. You got the best transfer portal. You got Mr. Moneybags. Just throw a shit ton of money in on the team. Let's go. Let's go. Ain't it? 2025, that should be that's the year of the Raiders. Let's go. Let's see it. Let's see it get done. I'm begging to see it. I want to see it. I want to see Tech in that conference title game at the very, very, very least. Anything less than conference title game for Tech, fire Joey McGuire's ass. Because he ain't worth shit. If he can't get there with what he's got this year, he needs to go. Screw him. Oh, you skipping my comments. I'll stop picking on y'all, bunch of weak, soft, wet diapers. Who's skipping your comment? I haven't seen a comment. I haven't seen it. Puddin'. I ain't seen your comments, Puddin'. Damn it. Big Lubbock. Did I forget to mention the advantages of Lubbock? It is close to Midland, Odessa, with the oil dollars flowing to Texas Tech. Now, for a long time, and you know this, Big Lubbock, a long time, Texas Tech got screwed out of shit tons of money that was going to the University of Texas or going to A&M. We're talking about money from the Permian Basin. which Texas Tech is sitting on top of. Talk about getting screwed out of money. That was some horse shit, man. I love Texas, but sometimes there's some political horse shit that goes on that sucks. Does any school do less with more than A&M? This year, Florida State did a lot less. Oh, Mr. Monkey says that is the sad truth. SMU is going to get screwed again because they ain't coming to the Big 12. Now, I wouldn't mind them in the Big 12, but the ratings. The ratings. TCU is just a much bigger brand. SMU, they got hosed in the 80s. Now, I know they were cheating. We all know they were cheating. They were paying their players big money. And they were getting players. Here's what got them. They were getting players that traditionally they wouldn't get. They would go to the big schools. I don't need to name them all. You know who I'm talking about, the Blue Bloods. But when they started landing those players, yeah, that's when these bitch-ass other schools started filing little complaints. Hey, what's going on? They're paying them. I know they're paying them. Well, here's the thing. Everybody else was paying them too. They were just smarter about it. They knew how to hide it. They had people in the media help them hide it. SMU didn't have it like that. How dare you get out of your lane and get into our lane of winning? Death penalty. And then Penn State has one of the most horrendous serial child rapist ever. A literal Satan on campus. And old Joe Pa, oh, don't worry about it. He'll get bored of them kids eventually. Yeah. Sacrifice a couple kids for the good of the program. That's what Joe Pa says. And what happened? Was there a death penalty there? Oh, they lost. So it affected them for like 2 years. Should have been the damn. If anyone was ever going to get the freaking death penalty, all right, because everyone's still up in arms with Baylor and whatever the hell his name was. I can't even freaking remember. But that whole controversy, that pales into comparison. That pales so much in comparison to Joe Pa's sorry old ass. I'm not saying he's rotting in hell right now. I'm not saying that. I'm not even hoping for it. But if he is, wouldn't shock me. That's all I'm saying. You know, there's certain people you're like, yeah, I can see that. I can see that charcoal getting awful hot for that son of a bitch. And you tell me, well, why didn't Penn State get that death penalty? Why? Because they didn't pay players? Oh, isn't that? I mean, hell with these kids, right? Hell with the little kids. That's what I'm saying. It's because Penn State's Penn State. If that shit happened in Ball State, guess what? Ball State wouldn't have athletics anymore. Not for about 10 years. They'd have been killed off for a long, long time. Don't punish the players because of Joe Pa. Let them transfer. Let them go somewhere else. Life ain't always fair. Sometimes you choose to play for an absolute creature of the night. How many schools will leave the ACC in your opinion? All but 3 or 4. It's going to be outside of a merger. It's going to be apocalyptic. I mean, it's going to look between 2028 and 2036. There's going to be an 8-year period because not everybody's going to pay to get out. Other schools, the smaller schools, are going to stay there and collect all these exit fees. All right. And they'll backfill with whatever. Because they got to stay at 15, right? That's the thing. They got to stay at 15. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Florida State and Clemson leave. How many people actually vote yes to backfill at that point? I don't know. Does ESPN help you backfill? Do they want to help you backfill at that point? Probably not. Yeah, Kevin Hampton, I'd say it's going to be a full Pac-12-esque thing where your biggest schools will be Boston College, Wake Forest. Maybe SMU stays. Maybe they go to the Pac. I don't know. Calford probably go back to the Pac. As far as Big 12, I'm guessing Fox said hell no on that, since they said hell no on the Big 10. They just like, nah, we just have no interest in that market. That market sucks for sports. And it does. The Bay Area, I mean, if you want to like have a new Walking Dead series, that's a perfect place for it now, which is insane. I've been there. It's a beautiful town. Beautiful. The weather. You sons of bitches in the Bay Area. I never want to hear any of these people bitch ever. I'm from Texas. This is a nuclear blast furnace in the summer. Out there, it's perpetual fall. It's gorgeous. Every day is jacket weather. Not anything heavy. You don't have to put on a parka. You're not going to freeze to death. A nice pullover. You liberal freaking spoiled sons of bitches in the Bay Area. You got to have an app to show everybody where the needles and the human feces are in the ground. You can't take care of your town. You're letting everybody carjack and break into CVS, do whatever they, steal whatever they want. You don't give a damn. One of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. Greatest weather. I'm a fall guy. I love nice and cool. It doesn't have to be sub-zero shit. I mean, just a nice fall day, man. Nice pullover, light breeze, whatever. That ocean breeze there. Oh my God, it's awesome. It's awesome. And to watch these people just screw one of the greatest places on earth up. Bastards. That is true, Kevin. They'll be welcome in the Pac. Being in the Pac-12 is left out. Well, being in the ACC in the future will also be left out, Mr. Monkey says. So maybe something changes with the Big 12. That's their only shot. It's going to be any of these teams' only shot. Maybe SMU and Calford makes the Pac-12 relevant then. To an extent, I think that'll help. Pac-12 is a zero auto bid league with low media value, though. That won't change. They're not getting their autonomous status back. It's gone. See you later, out of there. Thanks for playing, kind of thing. Kevin Hampton. Pac-12 can only change that by adding schools that are at least Cal, Stanford, SMU level. Yeah, it'll help. It'll help. UConn or Syracuse to the Big 12. I would love both. I mean, I'm just going to say it right now. Give me Syracuse over Pitt. Give me Syracuse over Pitt. That's the only thing. The only thing I will agree with the Monty Show on. I don't see the value of Pitt. I can see some value with Syracuse. I can see a lot of growth potential with Syracuse, more so than Pitt. I like Syracuse's basketball more than I do Pitt's. And hell, lately their football. I know Pitt had a decent year last year, but did you see the end of that year? I mean, they started off what 7-0 Pitt, and then just right in the shitter, right on schedule. It was not good. Syracuse was kicking some ass last year. Didn't they get who was it? It was either FSU or no, not FSU. It was either Clemson or Miami they beat late last year. Just unbelievable. That's what I do. There will be other schools to go before the Big 12 thinks about UConn or Syracuse. I don't know, man. I don't know, Bagman. I mean, it looks like we're going to do a private capital deal. I would not be shocked, or maybe a little, not shocked, but maybe a little surprised. But UConn needs to happen. UConn needs to happen. I mean, whatever happens with the ACC happens with the ACC. Let's get this UConn thing done. We need that basketball, men's and women's, in this conference. That's the way I see it. I want the Big 12 to get Pittsburgh, Louisville, Virginia Tech, Virginia, Duke. Give me Syracuse over Pitt. But I do like the thought there. And by the way, go ahead and throw in UNC in that too. Your mark will push for one or the other in 20. I have a feeling. Me too. Arturo Balderas. I'm going to make you my last comment of the day, sir. I appreciate you being here. Is Syracuse considered a basketball blue blood? Or are they more like the Oregon of college hoops? I think, I can see that. More of an Oregon of college hoops. I don't. Yeah, there's some legacy there. They definitely have some legacy there. Oregon of college hoops. I like that, Arturo. I like that a lot. I like Syracuse. I'm just going to say it. I like Syracuse. I like it more in Pitt. I would like Syracuse in this league. I think they have a good look. All right, Mr. Monkey says, damn it. Still, Arturo. Anyway, guys, appreciate you being here. It's been fun. It's been real. Now I got to get to bed. All right. I'll see y'all again. Got some more videos coming out this week. Another live. I'll do some more live. What is today? Tuesday? About to be Wednesday. I may do another one later on in the week. I don't know. Who knows? I'm going to try to do at least one or two a week. Damn it. That's my whole thing. I can't give you a day because my schedule's all kinds of screwed up. Keep that head on a swivel. Use a PATC-ism. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.